This Junior. I'm Pastor this Junior. I'm called Stephan. Yeah. Greetings from Singapore, as well as many of the, I think the UK saints and the European saints. We just came back from camp. Special greetings from John. So we hear that you've given him a new name as well. When he came to Ireland, he was known as Jonathan Tan before that, but now it's called Johnny O Tan. What have you guys done? Give him a good Jolly O laugh and a good Jolly O story. Yeah, so I think you'll be Sister Rachel's father. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we were told that we will be able to recognize you because you have a good sense of humor, like Sister Rachel. Yeah, just one day in the house and we learn a lot of the Irish culture as well as the Irish humor. It's really impactful. Okay, so the normally after camp, I like to take a little bit of time to digest information. And yeah, we'll go back to something simple, which is the topic of faith and what keeps us motivated. So, if we go to the next slide, you can sort of see the next slide.
I can't see it
from
here.
So, it shows a picture of a map and why we need a compass. I did this talk, or I at least had the inspiration of this talk after my first Europe trip, and also kind of where I got the idea of going to Ireland. So it has been 9 years in the making. Yeah. I first finished like my army, because in Singapore we all have to be conscripted in the army for 2 years. So that's between 19 to 21. As you can see, 9 years later I've gone charged. I won't be working out as much. Yeah. But after the army, normally what the Singaporeans do is we like to travel because that's the time before we start work. And during my travels, it was also my longest travel so far in throughout my life, because that was a 2 month travel before I started work. We've seen quite a bit of testimonies, we hear quite a bit as well. And it's like a seed that is planted. So faith in the Chinese characters is actually a word called Xing, which comes from the heart.
Yeah.
It comes from the heart. It's something that you can feel and it's a hope that you look forward to. And that's what the Bible says as well. Faith is the substance of things that's not seen, but the evidence of things that's hoped for. Yeah. But faith is also something that gives us direction. Because without direction, we will be lost. I learned this when I was in the Wasserkuppe camp, so the Wasserkuppe in Germany. That was 9 years ago. Nowadays, you have it in Dutch in the Netherlands instead. And Pastor Oda, very cute pastor. If you have a chance to see him in Czech, very funny, very warm guy. I love him. You have to go to Czech as well. Yeah. So also Czech also has another sense of humor, really great. So we go to the next slide.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next one. Just right arrow to right arrow.
Yeah, he showed a picture of physical map. He actually took the physical map. And what he did was, he said, this is north. Okay, if you click the next slide again. He said, this is north. So what he did is, he turned the map in different directions. And because of that, people of the past, they don't have such thing called a sense of direction. They don't have a compass. They think the world is flat. The direction of north is ever changing. And sometimes in our life, it can be like that also. It can be very confusing. We turn one way, it's like, I think it's the right direction. I think this is the right direction. But because of this, we always need something that a guiding principle that guides us. Let's take a look at the next slide. So we go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8 first. So if you have a Bible, please turn it with me. In Singapore, we practice that, yes, sometimes we can show the scriptures, but it's good to always refer to the Bible. So let's take a look.
What do you have?
Yeah. And in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should, after receive for an inheritance, obey. And he went out not knowing whither he went. Yeah. And it goes on to say, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. In verse 10, for he looked for a city which have foundations, whose builder and maker is God. So recently I've heard, I don't know, you all like to share stories. There's a bit of an Irish culture. Yeah. Two very city-like people who traveled around an island called Ireland, right? Finding a place to go and having this jolly old Irish spirit. Yeah. Here they come from a pretty interesting place called Dublin, right? Yeah, and when they were looking for a place, a church, some of the things they prayed for was a seat or a place with good ground. Yeah, and I've heard in Ireland, when it first sort of started, the people were spread all around the place, and there wasn't a common place to hold a meeting. But this girl with a farmer's girl heart wanted to find a countryside. Yeah, because I understand, because I come from the city, and being a city boy, it's hard to find people to witness to. Because people are very complacent, people are very advanced. So I think this guy and this girl, they went on a journey, and along the road, they found a house, and this girl was praying that if it's the right house, the Lord to show a sign. So at the house, they saw a gardener, and she called out to the man, let's go talk to Mitch the gardener. Yeah, I hope I got the story right. I still find it funny. Yeah, so Mitch the gardener, he went down and he talked to the gardener, or what looks like the gardener. And the guy said, okay, I'm Mitch the gardener. And this lady was like, what? Can it be such a coincidence that it's Mitch the gardener? Yeah. And this gardener happened to have the keys to the house where they are staying. And of course, I think you all know the rest of the story and who these two people are. Yeah. But along the way, of course, that's where I think quite a few of you started moving. Even Sister Rachel was also sharing about her father, yeah, who was also a hard man to convince. He also came to the Lord. And the Lord just has that kind of sense of humor sometimes. And the Lord sometimes, when we are lost, He gives us direction, just like Abraham. Sometimes we do not know what the end result is. But by faith, Abraham just looked. He looked for something, a good foundation, to build the Lord's church. to build his family. Okay, we move into the next slide. So a compass was given to Abraham. See, in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. I'm having a bit of a sore throat, so I'm actually sucking on the tongue on the sweet to ease it a little bit. Yeah. Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, get thee out of the country and from thy kindreds and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 70 and 5 years old when he departed out of Haran. So the first thing about it is the Lord gives the direction. Yeah, sometimes men plan, but the Lord always gives a sign to show what is right. Just like the story of Pastor Anthony and Sister Rachel, right now we are in this hall, and sometimes it can be small, but we all the church throughout revival, we have many churches that started small and they grew bigger over time, and it can be hard. Yes, it can be hard, but imagine how hard it is for Abraham who lives in his house and was given everything to be asked to live. It's the same for the Singapore church. When the Singapore church first started, my parents were still teenagers at the time, and a lot of the time and a lot of the things, they are not sure of whether they are doing the right thing. They had to learn from scratch, and the church first started with, of course, Pastor Colin was there, the pastor of Singapore Revival Fellowship, a couple of the older saints, but a huge bulk of the church was around 7 people, I think, was teenagers, which were around my parents' age, right? My dad, my mom, Bobby, Rachel, Jody, Kelly, Angie, but all these came a bit later. Yeah, so about 4 to 5 was there. So they were given a direction. They probably were scared of witnessing, but they still went out. They still went out and do the Lord's work. Now the Lord has given all of us directions to do God's work. Yeah, that's the first point. So in Genesis 16 verse 1, you see a blessing from the Lord. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abraham, behold, now the Lord hath restrained him from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So, at the start, it was confusing, and Sarai wanted Abraham to have a child, and just like what I say in the slides, sometimes we can end up confusing even when we are given direction because we are not sure whether the direction is from God. But of course, later on, in the next slides, we can see that this time round, Abraham knows what the promise of God is. When God promised something and when God promised to give Abraham children, he will deliver. In Genesis chapter 18, verse 12, then Sarah laughed within herself. So this is the second time the Lord promised, and the Lord said that he will give Abraham a child through Sarah, saying, after I am waxed old, and shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also. And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? All the time I appointed, I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. So, verse 15, then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou didst laugh. So, being a mother, and of course wanting a child so badly, that's the kind of promise that Sarah really held on to. But there will be a seed of doubt. But we say the Lord, just like Abraham, seeing the promise that was given before, knew that the Lord will deliver. It's also why we are here today, brothers and sisters. Well, maybe not so much as why the Singaporean saints are here. We came because of a talking dog. Or at least that's what we were promised. Okay, so a little bit of a funny story. I'm not sure if Pastor Anthony and Sister Rachel do the same thing in Ireland. They come up with a skit called the something news? Camp news, every camp. Yeah, and there was always a broadcast, and one of the thing was they have a dog that says, I love you, Pastor Andy, I love you, Pastor Andy. And that was like music to our ears. I was like, okay, let's go to Ireland. No, that's not true. We planned it for a long time. I planned it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, back to what the Lord promised, the Lord will deliver. I'm still praying for the talking dog, so yeah, let's see if that happens. And the first seed of it, the promise was born. Next slide. Genesis chapter 21, verse 1 to 5. Yeah, it happened much later in Genesis. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did dig unto Sarah as he had spoken, for Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son of his old age, at the set time of which God has spoken to him. So, yeah, brothers and sisters, faith is like a mustard seed, and when it's planted and when the Lord gives his promise, he will deliver in his time. So we have to learn to be patient. Let's go to John chapter 3, verse 5. So, faith starts from there will be a part of the story, and it's always a good reminder to visit the promise that the Lord has given. In John chapter 3, verse 5 to 8, very rarely I say unto you, except a man be born of water and of spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I say unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it list, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell where it comes.
Disconnected. USB speaker.
Out of battery. Yeah. or the speaker. Verse 8. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell where it comes, whither it goes. Is the promise that's delivered and given unto us. In Mark chapter 16. Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. he that believes and these signs shall follow him, follow them that believe in my name shall they cast out devils, they shall speak with new tongues. UK, I realized that there were a lot of Christians, but many of them, they still believe that tongue is like a gift. In which we know that the Lord has given us signs and the Lord has given us direction. Yeah, just be reminded of the promise. So the next one when to step out in faith, and it's angel existed. So as we walk on now, we know that although the Lord will deliver, there are things praying for others, praying for our brothers and sisters, praying for the church. And that's why even parallel, we hear this of the church in Italy, when there was some sins there, and we hear news of Netherlands and UK, and we still pray for others on the other side. With a little bit of what I saw in Italy, when I first came to Europe 8 years ago on a rally in Italy, and at that time, I think it was Pastor Robert or something. He can speak Italian. Brother, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. And it had, at the time, there was, so he just got off the train and he approached his three homeless brother. Now, this three homeless brother just got kicked out of the house. The reason my sister got married, and their sister wanted the house with the husband by herself, and she kicked the three brothers out, was to find a church, a Catholic church. And they asked the priest for help. And what the priest did was the priest kicked them out of the church. It was the impression that the brothers have about Catholicism, about Christianity. So when they first met Pastor Roland is quite dangerous because given the situation that they had, what they said after that was that if Pastor Roland on the streets, so he almost got beat up. That was the first protection from the Lord. The second protection was during his trip to Italy, and he was really on fire for the Lord. The rally had not even started, and he already went out. And just before, just so happened that there was also an Australian brother that came with these three homeless brothers, and they witnessed to them. And just like the size of this church now, we had the rally. We had songs count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 around there. Yeah, and we had communion with just 8 people, and so only probably only 3. So Pastor Roland, the brother from Australia, and myself, we are spirit-filled. One husband and wife who was also spirit-filled but have not come for a long time. They came for the rally and but we still went ahead with it. They still got through it. But by the end of it, these 3 homeless brothers, they came to the Lord. Shortly after, an uncle of theirs, and the uncle of theirs said that he has a spare room for them to stay in. So we can already see the Lord leave my talk at. Faith is like a mustard seed. It grows on us. And sometimes, no matter how small it is, no matter how to take that step. Okay, so yeah, I think I'll just end it there.
Amen.
I'll pass it back to you guys. Yeah, I'll pass it back. Okay, yeah.
Thank God.
I'll pass that to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just a second.